I'm Jamie Eason and I'm in the bodybuilding.com kitchen today. I'm going to make one of my favorite things to make, which are my carrot cake protein bars. To make these, we're going to need 2 bowls. We need a large bowl and a smaller bowl. Our large bowl is going to be for our dry ingredients and our smaller bowl is our wet ones. So we're going to put that to the side for now and start with our dry ingredients. First ingredient you need is oat flour. You can find it in the healthy section at your grocery store, or if you're unable to find it, it's essentially just ground up oatmeal. I suggest you use the quick cooking oats because they're a little bit easier to grind. But if you use it, you can do it in a blender. You can't typically get it as fine as they do in the store, so you want to make sure you do a little bit extra to make up for the density that you're losing. This is about a cup, and then you're going to do maybe about a cup and a quarter for the other oatmeal, or even a cup and a half sometimes. So we'll dump in the cup of oat flour, and then to the oat flour I'm adding 2 scoops of a protein. You can use any protein that you like, but I will tell you this, it will change the flavor of them if you don't have a good quality protein. I always look for one that just has, that's lactose free. I do low sugar, low carb, low calorie, and most of the time just as clean of ingredients as I can get. But here's 2 scoops, and you use the scoop measure out of the container. And then the next ingredient I'm going to add will be my cinnamon. And I'm going to do 2 heaping teaspoons of cinnamon. You can really never have enough cinnamon, so add that. Cinnamon's really good for you, so you can add as much as you want. It's really to taste. And then we're going to do 1/8 of a teaspoon of allspice and 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm going to get it all in there because that's the good spicy stuff. Now I'm going to show you real quick. My measuring spoons have 1/8 of a teaspoon, but a lot of people, you won't be able to find that. Here's 1/4 of a teaspoon. You're just going to have to get really good at kind of measuring half full, and you can still, manage to do your 1/8 of a teaspoon. So then the next ingredient we're going to add is our baking soda. Baking soda is what makes a cake rise. So we're doing about 1/2 of a teaspoon of baking soda. Again, I'm going to get it all in there. And then we're going to do about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. The salt will make the baking soda react. So there's all of our dry ingredients. We want to incorporate all that, mix it together really well. Make sure you stir these really well. Anytime you add a leavening agent like a baking soda or baking powder, if it's not mixed in really well, you can actually taste it, and it's not a very good taste. So, okay, there's our dry ingredients. Now I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to do our wet ingredients. And for our wet ingredients, you're going to need 4 egg whites. Egg number 2. Seem to be getting some eggshell in here, so I'm going to fish that out. Number 3. And you can use liquid egg whites if you prefer, and it's a little bit easier, but make sure that when you look at the carton to see what 4 egg whites equals to, do a little bit less because it tends to be a little more liquidy. And number 4. Okay, so we've got all our eggs in there. The next ingredient that I'm going to add to the egg whites is our sweetener. Now you can add any sweetener that you want. I chose Splenda today, but I've made these with a stevia ingredient like Truvia. Some people will prefer something natural like agave nectar. I've even tried before, if you've ever heard of it, it's called Succonaut. It's almost a substitute for like brown sugar, but it's very, very natural, so it's really granular, and you really have to mix like crazy to incorporate it. But for the easy, convenient sort of thing, I like to use Splenda. This is 1/2 cup. I'm going to mix those together. Now I've even made these with no sweetener and just used the natural sweetness of the carrot, and it's good too. It just tastes, it tastes just more like straight spice, but I think that way it tastes pretty good too. So if you don't like Splenda at all, there's always that option. Okay, now that we have that mixed together, we're gonna put in our carrots. And these are baby food carrots. You can actually do shredded carrots if you'd like, but honestly, they don't seem to give you the moisture that you need for this recipe, and I think they tend to be, they tend to make it fall apart a little bit. So you can do it however you'd like, but I think these work great. So I'm gonna scoop all this off the top. Actually, I'm gonna use this little spoon. And as I mentioned before, carrots have some natural sugar in them, and we're using 2. So these look like they have about 5 grams of sugar. Look at different ones. Like there's one that I have at home that only has 3 grams of sugar in it. So the less sugar, the better, but this is going to make 16 squares. We're using an 8 by 8 inch Pyrex dish. It's gonna make 16 squares, so you really aren't gonna get very much sugar at all. So that would be 10 grams of sugar, and then divided by 16, that's less than a gram. So add the second jar. Now this next step that I'm going to do is optional, but it's something that I've always done because I like mine really moist. So you can either add some almond breeze or you can just add water, which is what I do. I add a little bit of water. And what I like to do is just take my baby food jar and actually fill up the baby food jar with water. Kind of turn it a little bit, get all the good carrots off there. And it doesn't matter if it's, you know, hot, cold, or whatever, but there are eggs in here, so don't make it too hot or it'll cook your eggs. So we'll pour that in. Set those to the side for recycling. And then I'm gonna stir this up. And now this recipe too, you can change the flavor of the baby food and then change and the flavor of the spices and make all sorts of flavors. We're gonna probably do some on future shows here. So, but for now, these carrot ones. But do know this: if you make chocolate or anything or change the flavor of them ever, you still want to use your vanilla protein because that's always going to be your good base, and then you add the flavor in other places. So now I'm going to add my wet ingredients to my dry ingredients. Scrape it all out. Again, you want as much moisture as possible, so use a spatula like these little nifty rubber ones. Okay, we got that all in there. I'm going to mix this together. Now earlier I preheated my oven to 350 degrees, so it should be about ready for us. It looks like it is. Okay, got this all mixed together. I want to lick it because it tastes pretty good, but I won't. So, and then we're going to take our Pyrex dish. You do want to opt for the glass because the glass will keep it from baking too quickly. But you can just as easily use the aluminum one. You just probably want to cut back on your cooking time a bit. So now I'm going to spray it with my non-stick butter spray. Just lightly. And a little tip when you're baking and you spray stuff on your nice dishes, try to use something like a towel or even a paper towel and wipe around the edges, because if you don't, this stuff will gunk up and over time your pan will get old really quickly. So I always like to clean it up a little bit. And then I'm going to pour this in. And scrape it all out. Once you get it all in there, it should look about like that. And it's ready for the oven. So we're gonna put this in the oven. And now oven cooking times really vary, depends on your altitude, it depends on how new or old your oven is too. So I'm gonna put that in there. And typically, I mean, you can bake these anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, just depending on your oven. So I'm gonna put these in for about 22 minutes and then check it. So turn our timer on. And then when we're done, we'll have our carrot cake bars. Let's see, we'll turn this off. Looks pretty good. Take them out. Put them on, not directly on the hot counter. All right, looks pretty good. I checked it with a toothpick earlier. We'll do it one more time. Came out clean, so I think they're ready to go. When you're gonna actually serve these, you wanna make sure they're cool, and you can actually heat them up. They're really good warm, but when you're traveling and stuff, they're good cold too. But you're gonna make 3 slices this way and 3 slices this way, and it'll give you 16 squares. Thank you for watching bodybuilding.com. Please come back often for more recipes.